Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, The Bird's Nest. We are going through every month some books that can help you and help people supporting you or don't know how to support you through baby loss. This month we're reviewing Unspeakable Losses, Healing from Miscarriage, Abortion, and Other Pregnancy Loss by Kim Kluger-Bell. This is the first book that touches on abortion, so if that's a sensitive subject to you, you might not want to read this. I very much appreciate the fact that this one touched on abortion because there's all different types of abortion, and sometimes people have to make the hard decision of ending their pregnancy because something is very, very wrong and they don't have a choice, really. We need to support everybody. If you decide to have an abortion and end up regretting it, that can be such a deep hole because you feel like you're not allowed to grieve openly about it because you made the decision about it, even though you still feel like you lost something very significant. So I believe that this is a very well-rounded book. So it's written by Kim, and she is a psychotherapist, but she also had 2 losses herself. So she's had 2 losses, but she also helps people through losses. I think it's really great for individuals, families, people supporting families, but also medical professionals to read because there's also a lot of science behind it and the way our brain works. What happens when we grieve? What happens when we lose a baby? Like, there's a lot of science behind that too, and I think that it's important for people to understand that. So it basically goes through a bunch of people's different stories, and I guess they're her patients, but it starts off with a story about from a little girl's perspective. She's an adult now, but when she was a little girl, she experienced her mother having a miscarriage and how that was significant in her life. And then she goes on to have a miscarriage herself, and like she didn't really process it all until she had the miscarriage herself. Chapter 2 starts off The Broken Promise, Early Losses, and it kind of goes through each kind of loss, like early losses and then beyond until late. I love how she emphasizes the fact that, like, within the community of baby loss, early losses can kind of sometimes feel ostracized from the others because it feels like, oh, you were so early, mine was so late, that yours is more insignificant to mine. And I think it's really important to realize that we're all in this together. Like, when you lose a baby, we are all each other has who understands, and to be ostracized within the community is not okay. And you don't know what that baby meant to that person. It also goes through like IVF journeys and losses and heartbreaks like that, because you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get pregnant and it never happens. You can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get pregnant and then you lose your baby. And every loss is significant and every loss is important, and I think that it's important to remember that. The emotional after effects of early losses are often hidden, not only from the rest of the world but from the would-be parents themselves. After a few months, Rebecca was reluctant to talk about the miscarriage she had experienced, fearing that others would view her as being abnormally obsessed by it. So she stopped speaking of it and stopped thinking about it, forcing the memories away whenever they arose. But on a deeper level, the loss of her baby echoed the loss of her husband and the early loss of her mother's attention. Then it goes to later losses, a grief-delayed later losses, and it kind of, I like how it does like this quick thing of this person's experience, this person's experience, this person's experience, and they're all so different. A part of me did not want to push out the child. A part of me lay passive, did not want to push out anyone, not even this dead fragment of myself, out in the cold, outside of me, to be lost, lost, lost. Stillbirth seems to be an event which, even to this day, in the words of psychologist Emmanuel Lewis, is, by common consent, cloaked in secrecy, and by its nature seems unreal. It then goes into details on psychological studies and PTSD. I don't know why women who lose their baby, people don't automatically assume they're going to get PTSD, but it's pretty common, so I think that's really important. Chapter 4 is the dilemma of choice, abortion, elective, genetic, and multi-fetal reductions, when you have to choose to have an abortion, and it's really difficult. People hear the word abortion and they automatically judge, and if you're judgy, read chapter 4. And often these people feel like they're all alone in the world and within our community where we should be making them feel welcome. We decided that the last thing we needed was to have people around us who were saying they were supportive, but we knew they really weren't. We only told a very few people. That way we had more control over how we dealt with it without all these other opinions to deal with. But the downside was that we had almost no one to talk to about it. In the long run, that doesn't always feel so great. Then it has a chapter on fathers, from a men's experience on both pregnancy loss and abortion, and how they become like indoctrined in their male roles and how that hinders them from grieving properly. Then it starts to go on living with loss, life after loss, what that looks like. And it shows everyone who we've heard from so far and what their life is looking like right now. Then chapter 7 is an appendix, and it kind of gives like names to things that we might be feeling, like emotional numbing and what that is, and these very like real things: intense rage, fearfulness, hopelessness, and a sense of vulnerability. Explaining it. You are normal. Like, if anything is emphasized in these books, is that what you are feeling is normal. You are not crazy. If there's one thing to take away from these books, it's to understand that. And then I really, really love this chapter. It's especially for family and friends, for loved ones who are dealing with reproductive crisis. And if you have somebody who you're close to, who you want them to understand what you're going through, if you can't quite explain to them what you're going through, then this Appendix B in this book is really, really helpful for that. They don't have to read the whole book. They can if they want to, but this chapter in particular will help them understand you and help you explain yourself to them much better. And then Appendix C is just for mental health and medical professionals, and it has things in bold so that you can take some bullet points away from this book. And at the end is resources, which I always love, because when you finish a book, sometimes you need more resources after and to guide you in the next direction to go in. So check out Unspeakable Losses by Kim Kluger-Bell if you're going through a pregnancy, infant, or abortion. I hope that one little part of this book has helped you today, and if you're interested in it, it's on Amazon. I'll link it below. And one thing I really want you all to take away from this book is that we all need to be here for each other, whether somebody has had an abortion, elective abortion, or an early loss, late loss. Let's all just rally around each other and be there for each other.